Do we want to reset? Oh, you are resetting the recording.
I am
Thank you,
resetting. Okay,
Cameron.
we're fresh
All right.
recording now. Okay. Hi, this is take two. All right. So here we go. So we all had the problem of, our art show kind of got shut down. We need to do something. So and we all kind of talked about this in one of our staff meetings for our department meetings in Ashland and said, well, could we create some sort of virtual environment? And I went, yeah, how can I make this the least amount of work for myself possible? Which is, what you want to do. And I think the main way to do that is through Google Sites, because it's part of Google Drive. It's already built into the system, so you can just make a site, publish it, and it's live. And all you have to do is give it to your tech people and say, "Here, throw this on our website." I'm going to show you what I set up, and then I'm going to show you how I set it up. And if anything sounds confusing along the way, or if you go, "Whoa, whoa, 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 wait a second, how did you do that?" Feel free to interrupt me. Okay. All right. So.
And the important thing to note is that Cameron is recording this, so we can go back through and rewatch it as needed.
Absolutely. Yep. Anything you can go through and pause and rewind and all that good stuff. So are you seeing my Ashland City Schools 2020 Virtual Art Festival right now?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So basically, we didn't want anything too overwhelming. We wanted to kind of keep it all nice and compact. So what I did is I first just started building galleries, and I said, okay, this is looking pretty good. And I thought, well, it's kind of clunky just like landing on a gallery page. So I made a home page first, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. I'm just kind of giving you a little backstory. So when you get to the home page for this site, that gives you a little explanation of why we're doing this. Hey, this would have been our 50th year. We'll do that next year, but for now, we hope this is nice for you. And then I split it into two different sections: visual art and performing arts. I'm kind of building both as we go. We're kind of scanning things in and getting things put in there. Let me just double check real quick and see if anybody needs to be admitted. Okay. Hang on one second. Amy, did you mute your computer by any chance? Check your volume settings, that might help, or or if you're wearing headphones, check your cord. Let's see. Let's go back here. So what I did was I made this landing page, and I thought, well, let's dress it up a little bit. Our superintendent is real big on Instagram, and he takes pictures of all our events that we go to and do. So we've got some things here from our showcase for the visual artist. We've got a little bit of choir over here, some marching band stuff, orchestra. I was able to take those and just kind of pick out the ones I wanted and embed them, and I'll show you guys how to do that too. At the bottom, I put some links just to kind of guide people, on where they can go. This guy is hyperlinked to our homepage, which means I can click on it; it'll take you to the homepage in a new window. This is an email link to my email, so people can get a hold of me.
Hey, Cam, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Amy
please do.
Sigler lost all sound.
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, I don't know if that's anything you can do or not.
Let me take a look and see.
I'm going to turn off my microphone so you don't hear noise.
Sure. Let me just check my page real quick. Whoa, hey, how are we doing there? I can't unmute that, unfortunately. Okay. No, I mean, my sound's rolling, and I see yours. Yeah, I've got 3 people on mute right now. Amy's got sound, but I see she's got her 3 little dots going on there, but I don't have any control over her sound, unfortunately. But at any rate, so hopefully I would say, Amy, if you can, hang on one second. Let me just she can't hear me. Talking to her is not going to do any good. Let's see. Okay. Hang on one second. Okay. So then what I did was afterwards I built, so I built 2 galleries. I've got my visual art gallery and performing arts. I'll take you to the visual art one first. And the visual art one looks like this. Basically, I split it into buildings. And each building has a little carousel gallery. So you can click through them, or you can just hit play and it'll scroll through every 5 seconds. That one's a little workaround I had to do based on another site, just because of the way I did this. I'll show you a few different ways that you could do this sort of thing. But all the pieces are in there. The cool thing is you can have multiples running at the same time with this. So that one up there, if I hit play, it'll keep scrolling. This one down here will keep going if I hit play too. You can also, on a touch device, you can actually swipe between these guys and pull the pictures to the right or left. Over in performing arts, and let me go home so I don't lose anybody here. Over in performing arts, I basically set that up based on YouTube videos. Our head band director and department head, Marty Krall, is very techie as well, and he's everything he records, we put on his YouTube channel. Anything that I got from other teachers, case in point, the choir director, I threw on my YouTube channel. Nice thing is YouTube's owned by Google now, so it's part of your Google suite. So if you've got Google, you've got a YouTube account, which is nice. You just have to go in and set it up. And that's really not too hard. You answer a few questions and you're all set with your studio. And then it's just clicking the button and uploading things. But all these play directly in there, which is nice. And these are all, everything you've seen so far that looks like this or looks like these guys right here, or looks like my superintendent's Instagram pictures that you saw, those are all called embedded links. Basically, this right here, this is just a hyperlink right here. This little guy right here, you click on it, it goes somewhere. Same thing down at the bottom down here. These guys are all hyperlinked. If you click on them, they'll take you to a new page. If I click here, it opens up a new window and takes me to our district website. But these guys here are a little more than that. They are embedded, they're embedded links. So that means not only can I click on them and they'll take me there, but at the same time, they display a little chunk of their own website in my website. And I can show you how to do that as well. So that's basically the structure of how I did that. Okay, now here's what it actually looks like behind the scenes. So when I go to, here's my Google Drive here, the scattered mess that it is. I really try to be organized, but you know, I've got all my files up here, you know, random stuff happens to fall below and it's starting to build up. But you'll see up here, you may recognize this little icon right here. This is the workable version of my Google site. This guy over here, I'm going to show you with. This is a site I set up for my classroom that I just haven't done anything with yet. So I've been using it as my Frankenstein tool to kind of experiment before I do things to the nice site. When I go to open this guy, I'm not going to open it from here because I've already got it in the tab up top there. When you open it, it looks very similar to what you see online. The only difference is when you mouse over stuff, you notice that things are active now. I can actually go through and edit this text. I can take these buttons and I can drag them around and move them places. And then you've got a kind of a control panel off to the side over here too. I've got this is a place where I can insert things. If I want to insert a text box, I can do it from here. If I want to insert an image, I can do it from here. Cool thing is though, let me just go down to the bottom here. If I want to double click down here, anywhere I double click on this page, that same little menu will pop up that I was gesturing to over here, pops up down here. So, and the nice thing is that way you can tell it directly where to put something. So if I want to throw a new text box down here, I hit the text box and now I can type in that area. I don't want to, so I'm going to delete it. But that's how that works. My page layout, so that's anything you want to throw in there. If you want to throw in a button, like my buttons that I put right up here, you can do that. And you don't have to remember all that. I'm going to slow down in a minute and show you exactly how to do this. I'm just giving you an overview right now. all my buttons that I made, these little guys here came from this button function right here. All these little gray bands that you saw in between, those were dividers. I threw those in there too. But all these guys here, these were done with embeds. I can show you that in a little bit once we get into the meat of things. Over here under pages, you can see this is just kind of an organization of my file structure. So here's the home page. Here's the visual art page. And here's the performing art page. And over here, you might see this thing that says themes. This is where I picked my theme from. So it's a different, each one's a different look that you can go with. Unfortunately, they don't offer you that much as far as themes go. They give you some control. You can pick new colors. You can do custom colors. You can change your font style. But as far as the text goes, there are some options on text, but there's not a lot. But when you consider it's free, you know, it's good for free. So I can deal with that as long as it's free.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Please do.
This comes from Google Sites, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And Google Sites.
Yeah. So like, let's say you want to start.
I have a Google. I'm sorry. If I have a Google site, then I can just go from here. I'm just going to ask this question. So once I have my Google site, I can go from here then to make my virtual art show, right?
Sure, yeah. And you can even do it right from Drive. I've kicked back to my Drive here real quick. You know, up here in the corner is this little plus sign new tab right here. You can build lots of things from there. You know, your Google Docs are there, your Sheets are there. You can make a new folder and all that good stuff. But if you go to more, you can go down and you can make other things. You can make a form. You can make a drawing. Here's Google Sites right here. If I click this, it'll automatically start up a new site for me. Bare bones, regular blank site where you pick things from. Here, I can just do that right now. I'll just make a new one, and then we'll delete it later. So I just clicked on Google Site from the plus sign right there. And this is what you see when you start. It doesn't have a name right now. It's still called Untitled Site. It doesn't have a title yet. But this is where you could pick a theme, you know, and you could think, oh, do I want it to look like this? Do I want it to look like that? The other cool thing is too, you know, these headers sometimes have pictures with them. You can change that picture to make it your own picture, whether it lives on your computer or if you want to pull one from your Google Drive. Say, for example, let's see what's floating around in here. Oh, let's just pick my classroom here real quick. So there that is. You can, you know, from here you can decide, do I want it super bright or do I want it to be dim a little bit so that I can read my text better? Do I want to be able, what kind of header do I want? Do I want just the title? Do I want a banner? Do I want a large banner? Do I want it to be like a giant splash page? All of those are choices that pop up. And the cool thing about Google Sites is it's fairly intuitive. You can kind of mouse around and see like where stuff is. As you mouse around, you'll notice things pop up like, oh, a logo? Sure, I'd love to add a logo. And you can upload one or you can select one. But all those guys kind of pop in there. If you want to make a new page, you do it over here. So right now I've only got a home page. Way down here at the bottom, this little guy down here says, oh, what do you want to create? You want to make just a new hyperlink? Or do you want to make an entirely new page? Well, crap, I want to make an entirely new page. So let's call it page 2, just for the sake of things. Then we hit done. And now I have my home page and page 2, which is kind of neat. And then over here, in this big white space down here, that's where my stuff can go. So the neat thing about Google Sites is it does it all in kind of little sections. So if I make, let's say I tell it to add a text box, it gives me a text box, but then it puts this little teeny dotted line in between there. Michelle, I was going to ask you while I was doing this, is my resolution on my screen display okay?
Sorry about that. Yes, I can. It's very clear on my screen.
Excellent. Very good. I was just a little concerned about that.
In fact, it's more clear than the video of your face.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it makes me happy. So, so I can type any old thing I want here, and then if I click off of it, that little text box lives in that section now. Cool thing is, if I want it to be a text box and a picture, I can scoot this over a little bit. You know, I can double click here. I can add in a picture. I can drag something from my photos. I can drag something from that I have on Google Drive. I can upload something. I can borrow it from somebody else's website. Let's say I want to do this one here. I'll just drop that right in there. He says as nothing pops up. There it goes. Maybe. No, it disappeared again. Not playing nice today. Second time's a charm. Hey, that's better. Okay. I'll make it that big. You notice when I dragged it out, let's see if it pops back up. Just not happy with me right now. Insert. Okay, I can move this guy around. You'll notice that it kind of it gives you little snap to guides. There must be something wrong with that link or the permissions or something. It shouldn't keep disappearing like that. But when you move things around, and I'll just do it with the text box here, it gives you little brackets to snap into. Yeah, that limits you a little bit, but it also helps make sure that things are clean and you can line them up fairly easily. So let's go back real quick. I'm going to go to another site that I have open, this guy right here. This is my what was supposed to be my classroom site and is now my Frankenstein site. You can see over here, I was just trying to get my galleries to work. I have several of them that are broken that did absolutely nothing. I have one that didn't work quite the way I wanted it to. So this is kind of a history of my experimentation here. But let's say, for example, I want to incorporate something again from my superintendent's Instagram site. Let me go real quick to our homepage. And we'll scroll down here. He's got all kinds of things embedded on his homepage here. So let's say I want to take this guy right here. Click on that. And I want to go to the original post. I want to actually see this working in Instagram. Because there's some cool things you could do. If I wanted to, I could just link his hyperlink right here. Like I could make a link. I could copy this link here up in the top of the location bar. And I could put it over here, add a little text. There we go. And say paste. And now that's a hyperlink. And that will take me to his site. If I click here, that takes me, it tells me, hey, you're going outside this site. I say fine, and then it brings me right back there. But that's kind of a pain, and it's kind of clunky, and it doesn't look as nice as having the nice box on my screen with the picture. So what you can do is you can go to these little options over here. Sometimes you have to hunt for these things. They're kind of different on every website, but even if you went to Google and you looked up Instagram how to embed, or or YouTube how to embed, somewhere in that site there's a little bit of embed code. So if you notice over here on the little overflow buttons that I clicked over here, and if I did that too quickly, these little guys here are the overflow buttons. If I click there and I come down here, I see copy link, but then I see this guy that says embed. When I click on that, it gives me this here. And what this is just this ridiculously long stream of code. You don't have to know at all what that means. All you have to do is copy it. Okay. You don't have to be a coder or anything like that. You don't have to know HTML or whatnot. Just hit copy embed code. It'll say, hey, good job, you did it. And then you go back to your site. So let's just go down here. I want to come down underneath right here. I want to put my superintendent's little blurb in my website. So I'm going to double click over here. I could go over here to embed, but I found that if I just do it right where I want to, it gives me this little pop-up menu, and that makes my life a little easier. So I go to embed. And it says you have two choices here. You can do it by URL or you can do it by embed code. So I could do it by URL and just type it in, but I don't always get as many options. I want it to look just like I saw it. So I'm going to go to embed code, and it says, cool, put your code here. All I have to do is paste that in. So I right click, and I go to paste, and it throws all that crazy code there. But that doesn't make a difference because when I hit next, it says, oh, cool, I know what to do with that. This is what it's going to look like. Are you cool with that? And I go, you're darn right, I'm cool with that. And I hit insert, and there it is. Okay. Now it does some weird stuff. You see it's getting cut off at the bottom right there. Don't worry about that so much. You can adjust this. I could stretch it to make more of that thing fit, but it's going to scroll in there later. And another really cool thing that Google Sites does, if you're not aware of this or you haven't played with it too much, is while you're building, you can get a preview for what it's going to look like when you go live. And that guy lives right here. This guy's the preview button right off to the side. Let me move my mouse so people see where I'm talking about. This guy right here looks like a little laptop with a mobile device sitting in front of it. So when I click on that, it says, hey, let's take a look. Here's what your site looks like live. There it is. Notice I can scroll on this now. And here's what it's going to look like down here. Right now, it's giving me a preview of what it's going to look like on a desktop machine. If I click this guy, it shows me what the phone might look like. So here's what this website would look like on a mobile device that's in portrait mode. If I'm holding a tablet and it's sideways, maybe it'll look like this. You know, it's not a perfect preview, but it's pretty decent. So you can get an idea of just how that's going to look. And that little trick is relatively new to Google Sites. Google Sites always had a preview option, but it wasn't mobile friendly. The new version they came out with a couple of years ago, which is what you're seeing right now, is way more mobile friendly. Plus, it gives you that option there. So I'm going to hit, when I want to get out of here, I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Let's just double check. Yep, I like the way that works, and I like where it is. Then I hit exit preview, and now I'm back to my regular editable area. Now, if I decide, oh, wait, maybe I want this over here, now I can plunk it down over here. That means I've got all this room left over here. Maybe I'll add a text box and write a little blurb about that. Maybe I'll add in another picture of something. And let's see if I can get one to play nice this time. Let's see. I'll put my kid's logo there. Let's go insert. So now that works there. If I want to see what that looks like on my website, I hit preview. I scroll down to it. And there's my kid's logo, and there's the little blurb, and there's the embedded thing that still works off to the other side.
I'm having trouble following your arrow when you hit preview. Like, where is preview? Can you?
I'm sorry. Preview is right here. Can you see me moving my cursor?
Yes, I wish that was a little larger.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I wish it. Sometimes different programs will put a little ring around it. This one won't, unfortunately. But yeah, it's one of your little icons up on your dashboard up top.
Then where is exit preview?
Exit. Okay, so let me click in the preview again. When you're in preview, it's down here. It's this little guy that's floating down off to the side, and you've got
What's the different screens are. Okay.
Yep. Here's the different screens, and this little blue X says exit preview. It gets you out of there.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So let's say I wanted to go to YouTube then. Let's embed from there. You might, your music departments or theater people might have something they want to throw in there. Let's go to Marty's website real quick. There I am. Let's see. So here's one of our halftime shows. So if I want to do that here, there's a couple different ways this works. Either way, it works pretty well. Let me just pause that so it's not playing. If I go down here to share, that'll give me a link. There's also some embed code that I could copy. Let me show you. I showed you the embed code before. Let me show you what happens when you just use the link. So I'm just going to copy the sharing link for that YouTube video. And I'm going to come back to my beater site here. And let me just scoot this over. Let's set, hang on. There we go. Get out of there, dude. Okay, so if I double click here now, I want to embed some code. Instead, if you don't have embed code, it still works fairly well through here. So if I paste this in, that's just the regular old YouTube link like you'd share, through text messages. And it says, cool, it's going to look like this. If I hit that insert, there it is. I can move it around wherever I want. I could drag it, from here down into here. It's the cool thing is it's kind of, it'll go where you want it to for the most part. There we go. And then if I hit preview, we see that all these galleries still pop up. And then I can actually play this movie in the website.
So you go to YouTube and you hit share, and then link, and it'll automatically come up.
Yep, it's right down there. There's nothing wrong with copying it from up here. Sometimes, though, when you're in the middle of a movie, it may change the link a little bit. If you wanted to start from a certain place, sometimes it puts a little extra bit of code up next to it. So if you wanted the most simple form of that link, usually you can get it from the share area. I find that works best.
Okay, I'm sorry about this, but can you just very quickly just review that real quickly? You go from the upper right corner down to share when you find your, and then from share, what do you do?
From share, when you're here, it says, okay, here you go. Here's your link. I right click and go to copy.
Right click, copy.
Yep. Or
Thank
you could do, Control C. We'll still copy that as long as the text is highlighted.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And then all you have to do when you come back over here, double click, go over to the little embed icon, and then paste or Control V. It'll give you your little preview. And then you hit insert.
Perfect.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I had made my site, and I don't know if it's different with what we're doing now, but over on the right-hand column towards the bottom, there's a YouTube button.
Yep, and it's right here for me too.
Yeah.
You can
like when I would put I've been making videos for my kids, and I would just type in my name of my channel, and then I just double click on I click on or highlight like that.
Yep. And
then I just click it, and then it
does
just
the same thing.
Yeah, it just does it.
Yep, and you can do that too.
So
Either way. So let's go back real quick here. I wanted to show you the problem I encountered with these guys. There is no wrong way to do this. It just depends on how much work you want to put into it. When we came up with this idea, we had very little time to get it off the ground. And I thought to myself, well, I could, by all rights, sit there for each picture we get, put a little thumbnail of it and have people click on it, or just display pictures all over the place. And I thought to myself, it's a little clunky and a little hard to navigate. I mean, if you were a kid and you were looking for something, you'd be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I thought, I don't really like that. And that's just me. If you like that, go with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with creating a site that does that. And or maybe you say, well, I'm really good at Google Slides. I want to put all my pictures in Google Slides and use that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And I actually considered that idea too. But I didn't, but I thought to myself, I remember I did that for my swim team. I run a website for my swim team in the summertime. And I did that way. And I thought that was a lot of work and a lot of plugging things in. And I'm not the only one doing this. I've got 5 other teachers that are also submitting work to me. I'm going to be putting pictures in all day. How can I do this so that they can just dump things in there and then it goes on the site? And I didn't get quite that lucky. I got close. So let me show you how this works here. We go back to pages. We're going to go to visual art. So you see these little guys floating off to the side over here, right? These are an image. This is an embedded copy of my Google Photos album done through another site. Now that seems like a lot of work, but I'd done things before. And let me show you real quick here. They actually make a thing called carousel, and here's my swim team site. And this little guy here is called carousel. And you notice, like, the girls there, their tops of their heads were cut off, and most things line up okay, but you don't get any control over what shows up in this carousel. It's only so wide, and it crops wherever it wants. And for things like swim team, that's fine, but for artwork, that's not fine. So I wanted more control than that. I said, okay, we're not doing that. So let me go back real quick here and just show you, just in case you do say, oh, carousel actually sounds really cool. That sounds easy. You can do that if you want to. That's this guy. Hang on, I clicked that too fast. Over in your insert area, right where you saw that YouTube link before, there was this guy that says image carousel right here. where I'm mousing around. And that guy, you have to put in pictures yourself, and you can select images to do that. You can select multiple images at once. Let's say I select this one, hang on, this one, and this one, and I hit insert. Thinks about it for 12 hours. They're kind of big pictures. Oh, I got some. I don't know why I didn't get all, but that's fine. So then it says, okay, there you go. There it is. Let's see if I can make it any bigger. I can make it bigger, but it's still not giving me a ton of control. And each time I do it, it kind of, see how it does, it kind of redoes the crop. I don't have a lot of control here. When I go to preview, which is this little guy up here again, it shows me it working in the site. But you see, I'm still losing parts of my image. Ooh, that one's real bad. So not exactly what I like to do. So what I did was I went to Google Photos, which is also part of your Google Suite. Over here, and let me, that's a little complicated. Let me go back to the home page. In my home page here, you notice I'm logged in. This is my school account. Over here, I've got my little dial pad. All my Google apps live in this little dial pad over here. And I can move them around anywhere I want. So mine probably looks very different than yours. And that's okay. If I wanted to have Google Photos appear, I could drag it and say, hey, go right there. Put you back where you were, dude. Okay. But that's how that works. Okay. You can move things around. If you see something like you see, oh, how come your Google Sites is there and mine isn't? You might have to go and add it from where it may be living. You know, my forms is way down here. There's something that says I couldn't drag it up here and put it there. So at any rate, I said, okay, I'm going to do this through Google Photos. The nice thing about Google Photos is that, number one, it's linked through my school account. Number two, I can create albums to put things in. And number three, I can share those albums with other teachers and they can dump things in, which means I don't have to have people emailing me stuff. I don't have to have people like sharing things through Google Drive and, you know, all and dealing with permissions and all that. No problem. So what I did was in Google Photos is kind of clunky. The problem with Google is it's got tons and tons of great options, but they make something one time and then they forget about it for like a decade. So, you know, they'll update this at some point, but it's still pretty clunky looking. But off to the side over here is your main control panel. And I went to albums. And I said, let's make some albums. And I made a bunch of albums. I made a high school album. I made one for Taft Intermediate. I made one for Reagan. I made one for middle school. I made one for Edison. And then what I did is I said, cool, the album exists. There's nothing in it right now, but I'm going to share it with people. So let me just make a new album here and call this album Tri-County Pictures. And then I can select photos to go in there. The cool thing is I can select photos that are already in my Google Photos, or I can select them and upload them directly from my computer, which is how those photos got there in the first place. So that's not a big problem. Let's just throw in, here, this is nice. We'll throw this guy, we'll throw this one in. So anything with a check on it is going to go in Google Photos, okay, in that album.
Too? Can you do this with the pictures from your phone as well?
Oh yeah, you can upload as long as you put the Google Photos app on your phone. And if you've got stuff that you've been snapping pictures of and you say, ooh, that's a good one, I need to throw that in the album, you go right from there.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
That's where most of these came from too. Is like some of them were lived on my computer, but most of them were just like floating around in my camera roll. So I'm like, okay, that one, upload to Google Photos. And once they were in Google Photos, then I could dump them in an album. So I'm going to hit done. And we should get some pictures populating here. There we go. And right now, this album is just an album that I own. Okay. I can put stuff in it, but nobody else can. So what I want to do is I want to say, cool, I want other people to be able to put stuff in here too, mainly not me. So I'm going to go over to share. And it's going to say, oh, you want to share this album? Sweet. Who do you want to share it with? Well, let's see. I'm just going to share. Let's see. Who can I not confuse here? Pete will not notice. All right. So I'm going to share this album with Pete. And then once I do that, it'll say, here, I'm going to say, hi, Pete. Ignore this. You're part of a demo. Okay. Oops. Get you out of here. Goodbye. Pete knows he's part of a demo. And what that did is it just sent Pete an email telling him that, hey, you've got access. Now, you notice Pete's not showing up over here right now. Once he accepts the invitation, he will. And once right now, I can add more people if I want to, but it shows me that these are the people right now that have access to this. I have access, and over here, Pete would too. So that means Pete can actually dump things in this album too now. If I go back to, let me go to sharing real quick. So all those albums I created, also back in this region over here, can you see me moving my mouse here?
I can't share.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Where is share again?
It's over on the left-hand panel over here. This little micro dashboard off to the side.
The
And
letters
I'm sorry, yeah, sharing is the fourth one down. I'm about to click on it right now. Sharing is the one in blue.
Thank you very much.
Sure. So now you can see all these albums that I have shared here. Okay, I've got the high school album, Taft album, Reagan's here, and let's say I click on, for example, high school. You can see that I have access and my partner teacher Nancy has access to this. If I go back and I go to Taft Intermediate, you will notice that, wow, a lot of people have access. Who has access to this? I have access, and Carrie Paramore has access. Oh, she put her other drive on there too. She must put a personal one on there. And David Truesdale has access. So those are the people, Carrie and David both share that building. And I'm on here too because I created the album, which is good because that means I can use that stuff. If I go back over here to middle school, you'll see that I shared this with Pete and David right here. And they've been putting stuff in their middle school album. So what I can do with that is, if I really wanted to, let's say I go to high school art. Well, I've already used that one. Let's say I go to Reagan. Okay, here's our one of our elementary schools. And I could go up to share and grab this album here. And down here, there's people I could share with, but there's also this little guy that says create link. And when I create a link, that says, here you go. This is a public URL. If you put this out, anybody with this link can view the album. They can't edit it, but they can look at it. So I'm going to go, okay, cool. I don't want people editing my thing. I just want them to be able to see. And that was this little icon right up here that says share. Well, it doesn't say share, but it's a little icon that means share.
Okay, I can't see where you are.
I'm sorry.
Where's the share?
The share button is this guy that I'm mousing around right here.
All right, on the right.
Yep. Yeah. 5 icons over on the right.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you hit that presses share, and then it goes to the link.
Yep, and down, that's where this is. Right down here, it says create link. And it's always the same link. It doesn't randomly make a link. It's the same link every single time. So if you did that a million times, it would still be the exact same URL. So when I go back to that site I was working on, and oops, I'm still in preview, so let me close out of preview. Go back to the editable version. When I come over here, I could go down here and say, okay, let's just embed that album. So if I go to embed, and I don't have any embed code, but I've got a URL. So I hit paste, and it says, great, it's going to look like this. And you say, okay. And then you preview that. That's what that looks like. And you might be fine with that. You know, it gives you a little preview of what's in there. It basically does the first image that's on top, you know, whatever the first image in the order is. And you can switch that too. But when I have to actually physically click on it, and then it takes me back to this window right here. Now, for anybody with that link, I can edit it right now because I am the owner of this album. Anybody online, like if I gave this link to you, all you would be able to do is see it. And this is fine. You know, you can still click on these things. They'll come up real big. You know, that's nice. That may be plenty for you. If you like that, do it. You know, there's nothing wrong with that at all. The other cool thing about doing it this way is that you can display comments for it. Like if you wanted to make a name tag for it, you could type it in over here and put a name tag for it. But I didn't personally, that wasn't the way I wanted my site to run. I wanted it to be a little more compact, and I wanted everything to happen in that web page. I didn't want to have to open up a new window. So what I did instead is a little bit of a workaround. And this, for some of you guys, you might think this is a bit excessive, and I totally understand. It's going to take a minute to demonstrate because it's kind of clunky too, but you might like the way it looks, so I'm going to show you anyway. So what I did was, if we come back here, you see these little guys that look like carousels, and they act like carousels, but they're actually like a little movie viewer. You can hit play. If you hit play, it'll scroll through every 5 seconds. Usually it's a little laggy depending on your connection speed. Mine is going super slow right now, probably because we're screencasting. You can see it just changed on its own right there. If you have any videos in there, let's see, I know I got one laying around here somewhere. Just gonna flip through this guy real quick.
I want to interrupt for just a moment
Please
and
do.
explain that I'm going to have to close out here because I have another meeting with my superintendent or my principal at 2 o'clock. So
sure, absolutely. We'll post this. I'll give the recorded link to Michelle, and then you can watch the rest later.
Okay, I want to thank you very much for all your help. This is
You're
wonderful.
welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. See ya.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to back this guy up just a little bit here. This is not really a video. This is a live photo, but to give you a little idea. Once it posts here, you see this little bar at the bottom down here. If I hit play, it actually moves like a video. I can do that one more time, maybe. There it goes. So it kind of embeds all those kind of things, which I kind of like. So that's the way I did that. So I wanted something that looked like that, and it took me a little sleuthing on Google to actually find something like that. And I came across, hang on, I got to find it now. I've got so many links open up top. Let me clear some stuff out real quick. Don't need YouTube. I need that. Let's see. Let's close that. That one I need. I don't need that. Okay, I came across this guy, and this is publicalbum.org. It is, I have a feeling that this website is translated into English. It's a little hard to read, but it's safe. I've looked over it. I've gone online. I did reviews on it, and there are a bunch of different teachers that have been using this and say this is one of the only ways you can have the most control with uploading a Google Photos album. So I said, hey, what the heck? I'll give it a shot. So on this little album here, and I'll give Michelle the link for this too. It's publicalbum.org, and there's some extra that goes along with it. But basically, you scroll down to right here, and there's this little guy right here where you can create an embed code based on that sharing file that you had. Let me just make sure I don't have to. Oh, I got to admit someone here. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to go to, let's go to Reagan Elementary real quick. So right now, you remember I told you how to make create a shared link. I'm going to go over here to the sharing section, and I'm going to come down here to create link. This is the URL for Reagan Elementary Art. So I'm going to hit copy. And I'm going to bring it back over here to this publicalbum.org site. And it lists its own little thing here to give you an example. You just have to delete that out of there. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to right-click and paste my own link into there. Now, let me warn you when I tell you, sometimes this takes a lot of reloading. It's clunky, it's weird. Half the time it doesn't work. It probably won't work for the first 20 times that I click on it, or it might do it on the first try. I have no idea. Let's find out. So I pasted my link in there. This is the link from my Reagan Elementary site, and I'm going to hit Create Embed Code. It brings this up here. It worked on the first try. Amazing. A lot of times it'll bring up all the code over here, and it'll bring up a preview of just a blank black screen. If that's the case, you hit reload album right down here in the corner. I've done that as many as 25 times. I think I counted one time. I've tried reloading the site and things like that. It seems to be playing nice today. Maybe it's just for the sake of my video. I don't know why. But at any rate, so you see all the code over here. These are all the links to all the pictures. That's a lot of code, right? You don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to do is say, come down here to this purple button. And sometimes it's off the page, just scroll a little bit. So my purple button's right here. So if it's hidden, if it looks like this, just scroll down a little bit and there's the purple button. And it says copy code to clipboard. So I'm going to do that. There it is. I just copied it. So now I come back to my website. And here's my website. Oops, I'm still in preview. Let me go back to my editable mode. So now I say, okay, I want to put that album in. I'm going to double click now, and I'm going to hit embed. When I do that, I don't want to pay. If I paste that in the URL section, watch what it does. I'm going to paste it here, and it'll say, that's not a URL, dude. What are you doing? And I'll say, oh, oopsie. I'll go to embed code. So that's how you know. If you put it in the wrong box, it'll throw a fit and it won't let you do it. So you go to embed code, and I right click here and I hit paste. And it'll say, okay, it's all there. If you really want to see, you can scroll. You don't have to. And then I'm going to hit next. It generates a preview for me that looks very familiar to what you saw on my website. And then I hit insert. And there it is. Now I can't do anything with it in the editable version. So I'm going to go to preview so you can see what it looks like live. Here's what it looks like live. When you hit play, you can click through it. On a phone, you can swipe through it. Or you could just hit the play button down here in the corner. The only thing I don't like about this is I don't like the fact that I can't adjust the screen size. It will only go as big as this. And I kind of just resigned myself to accepting that fact. If you look down here, it gives you component adjustments where we built this thing in the first place. I tried messing with those. They don't really do anything. So if you're cool with the square and you don't mind, just leave it a square. It's just the easiest. You can stretch it. Oops, I'm in the wrong window. You can stretch it to do something else. For example, I could drag this guy down here. And then I could stretch this out, but it's not going really any bigger than a square. So, I mean, it still just kind of looks like that. So, you know, I mean, you can make it bigger, but it really only goes so far. So, you know, I just kind of resigned myself to, yeah, squares are fine. They look good. You know, anything that's a rectangle will just look like it's got those widescreen bars around it. There's nothing wrong with that. And then the nice thing about that is that all my galleries are right here. And I didn't have to do that much work because all my department members just populated these shared folders for me. Okay, here's the one thing you got to do. So let's say you do this and it looks good. And one of your department members goes, "Ooh, hey, I just got 10 more things. Can I put them in?" Yeah, go ahead. But the problem is that when you made this code right here, you notice that each picture has a link. There won't be any links for the new ones. So you have to go back and delete the old embedded thing and put the new one in. So let's pretend, for example, that Carrie just emailed me and said, "Hey, I just threw 10 more pictures in." Okay, no problem. Cool. Good. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to come back here again. I'm going to copy the code again, just to be on the safe side. I'm going to go back to public album, delete what was there, paste in the new one, hit embed album. Now you're going to be a pain. Hit reload a million times and redo the code, essentially. I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me reload this thing 25 times, but that's what you'd have to do. Once you've done that, you go back to your editable site. Let me go back to my clunker site here. And you say, okay, this is the one that's missing all the new pictures. So I'm going to click this guy and delete it. Maybe. There we go. And then I'm going to embed the one with the new code. So let's pretend I just copied the new code out of there. It actually worked. Whoops, that's the wrong one. And I paste that in there. Hang on one second. Got to find it first. Embed. Well, I might have closed the window. Oops. Here, let's try that one more time. Create. Reload. Now we'll try that. I'll hit copy. See, the problem is if you copy it with a blank screen, then when you go to paste it in, it's going to work with a blank screen, and the only thing you'll ever get is a blank screen. So you have to reload it until you see your album pop up. This is what happens if you don't. And even if I go to preview right now, it just doesn't work. So you have to make sure you keep reloading this guy here until it gives you what you want. And it will. Trust me. I've been through this a million times. But that's what that does. So that's essentially how I built. Oh, one more thing before I go on. Your site does not actually exist. So let's say you built this whole site. You love it. It looks great. It doesn't actually exist on the internet until you hit publish over here. And publish means you want to actually make it live. You want to give it a real deal URL. So when you hit publish, let's see, publish your site, access. It doesn't give me a web address here. Sites.goarrows.com. Oh, I never named it in the first place. Here we'll call it junkie site. There we go. And then we hit publish. So now that exists in the world. So when I go to, so I can go to view published site, and here is junkie site, actually on the real live internet. And my URL is kind of clunky too. That's another problem with Google Sites, is that it's not a nice clean URL, like, you know, Ashland Art Show. I could buy that if I wanted to from a domain company. I might, you know, if this thing lasts a while. But for right now, I'm just going to stick with it. https://sites.google.com/goarrows.org/junkie site/home or page 2 or whatever it is. So now it is actually a live site. Okay, so now let me close out a few things here. Let's lose that guy. Let's lose that guy. Let's close these albums. And I'm going to stop sharing. So now I can talk to you. Okay, so I ran through that a million miles per hour, and you're probably really happy that this is going to be recorded and that you'll have a pause button. So what can I go back over? Go ahead, Michelle.
No, you're right. I will have to review it quite a few times.
Absolutely. And that's okay. The one thing you want to do is, if you haven't been on Google Sites in a while, make a junkie site. And just make a burner site that you can play around with and experiment with. No one's ever going to find it. Google Analytics is such that your site carries absolutely no clout because you're not advertising with anybody or anything like that. Someone would have a really, really hard time doing a Google search for your junkie site. So feel free to experiment. You know, it's like anything else. Do a rough draft first. Play around with it.
Yeah, I heard someone once say you can't break Google.
You can't
so
break
you might
Google.
click away until you figure it out.
Yeah. You may make something very, very ugly at first, you know, and that's okay. You know, it's like what did they say? If you want to be good at something, you first have to accept being bad at it. So, you know, the first one you make might be a little clunky looking. The first Google site I made was super ugly. You know, you get better as you go. But the cool thing is that they make it fairly easy to make fairly aesthetically pleasing choices.
Yeah, I like what you did. It's really cool. It's a great way to bring lots of different pieces and parts together, and it looks really nice. Hey, Danya, you're really techie too, and you do a lot with tech in your teaching. Is this anything, or how would you use this, or is this anything you have already used?
I already have a Google Sites. I've had it for a while. We changed it into like a special site so that the kids can come in and see videos and stuff for the projects they're doing right now. My main thing I've been trying to figure out, I have Artsonia, which is an online art portfolio that parents can go on anytime and see the work. I guess for elementary though, I guess especially, I feel like the parents are not going to just go look at a bunch of art. Like they want to know, this is my kid's art, and see it. And like, there's probably no, I mean, you wouldn't want to have first and last names on there, but even first name, like that would take forever to upload pictures and put first names connected with all those photos, right?
You might look at Artsonia and see if they do offer an embed code. I know that they do. I used to, I was a horrible Artsonia member. I would go on and get the lesson plans and use the little photo viewers and stuff and never contribute at all. So, you know, they're never going to pick me for their spokesperson. But they do have those really cool gallery viewers where it kind of zooms in from the side and does all. And I got to imagine that there's got to be some embed code for that. And if there's not, at least you could have a link that takes you to that really awesome site. And the nice thing I like about it too is that you don't see last names on there, at least not as far as I know. And if you you know, it's usually like a code or something, or, you know, they have a username, but it's not anything that would do anybody any good. So that's a good thing.
So you have a file on Artsonia for every single student that like the parents can just go look at their student's file? Holy cow.
It creates kind of like a homepage for each kid. So it collects their artwork and it saves it from year to year, all at one spot. One of the main things that's nice about it is it's hardly any work for me. The kids upload their own artwork. It's been awesome through this because they can create their artwork at home, upload it through Artsonia, and it gets sent right to me, and I don't really have to do a whole lot of work. So it's nice, and I can still see that they're doing work. But I don't push the advertisement, like the fundraising part of it, but parents can buy stuff and I get 20%, and I make $300-400 a year on it without doing much work. So it's awesome.
That is awesome.
I think.
And so once you, okay, so you're K4 or K5?
K5.
K5. So actually, once you've set up their account, really all you have to do is set up kindergartners every year then, right? Because they could keep that same page all the way through K to 5. Once it's, so the first year would be the most laborious, and then it would get easier with just only adding those new kids or any kids that would move in or something per grade level. That's really cool.
They actually make it easier. You can send Artsonia just your class list, and they'll put all the names in for you. So it's really not even work setting it up.
Sounds like it's gotten much easier over the years, and I can imagine too that having not only the capability to share, but everybody having, you know, a high megapixel camera built right into their phone probably makes that even easier. I remember looking at that back in the day and going, that's a lot of photos to upload.
Yeah, well, I have iPads in my room, so when the kids are done with an art project, they just go grab an iPad and they take the picture themselves. It doesn't even matter if they could take a bad picture because it crops it for you, or they like put the little circles on the corners of the picture, and it makes it so it's not like the picture skewed or anything. So yeah, they've made a lot of changes to it. It's a lot.
That's
great.
Is that something you would ever want to share at the OAEA conference? I'm just saying you would be very good to do that, and I think teachers would appreciate seeing how it's done.
I think there have been some that have already done it. I don't know that it would be anything.
There's usually a few companies that are there at convention that are like that too. Artsonia is kind of like the industry standard, I think, but there's a few others that will, you know, have you upload and put things on mugs and mouse pads and stuff like that. There's usually a vendor presentation that somebody does that. But yeah, I could also see the value in you doing that too and saying, hey, yeah, I know you saw the vendor thing, but it really actually is fairly easy.
Yeah. Well,
I always looked at that and went, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll get right on that.
Michelle, if you know, anyone local would want to, I'd probably be more willing to do it locally than full state.
Sure. Well, maybe that's something to consider for October in-service day, if we're allowed to get together. I can just see everybody wearing their brightly colored face masks. Okay. Well, do you have any other questions for Cam, or is it just a matter of watching the video?
Well, I just want to ask real quick. The first way you did it, Cam, I mean, do you think that, like, I'm just elementary. I mean, what do you think of that just for the elementary? Just doing
In which way were you speaking? Are you speaking of
I'm
like
just
putting
saying-
pictures?
You know how you did the album at first, and then you kind of clicked on it, and
Yeah, and it took you right to the Google Photos album? Yeah, do it. Absolutely. Because the
and then
great thing...
I have another quick question too.
Sure.
Right now, the kids are sending me pictures, like in my, they're emailing them to my TCCSA account, like their projects. So
Yeah.
I kind of messed up, like listening to this, I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I have them send them to my Gmail? So they
Well,
kinda-
here's a cool thing you could do is every time you get those sent, you could create a little rule in your email that says anything from this from TCCSA gets forwarded to Gmail, or you can just go through and send them one at a time. But let me go back to my screen presentation real quick here.
I'm just struggling with getting them, like, I just don't know how to get them to my, like, I'm trying to get them right now. I have a class picture, so I'm kind of doing, it's too many steps. Like, I just have all my class pictures on the Google site with, I don't know. It's taking 3,000 steps to get those pictures there.
Understood. One thing here, let me go to my email real quick. So like in Gmail, so like let's say you did forward those on. I had a kid today send me a bunch of pictures, and let's see where that email is. Oh boy, it could be a bunch.
I don't have a lot of kids sending me pictures, but the kids that are sending me like 4 or 5.
Sure. Okay. So one thing I really like to do is when you mouse over these little icons here of the picture, the thumbnail of the picture, you can either download it to your computer or you can save it to Drive. Do you do that one too?
Well, I try to get them to Drive, but I can't get it there.
Okay. So make sure, first of all, make sure make sure you're in the account that you want. So you're looking at these there. And once you click that go to Drive, it's in your Drive already, but you can tell it, okay, I don't want it just random willy-nilly. I want this one specifically in this folder. And let's say I wanted that there, I could hit move there and it would take it there.
And then I have 2 drives, so I want it to go to my school drive, not my personal drive.
Yeah. So you want to, make sure when you forward it, so anything that your kids send you, if they send it to the wrong email account, have them then just forward that to your Gmail. And you may want to start giving out that school email account too. That'll make your life a little easier.
I gave it to my TCCSA, and I should have done the Gmail.
Gotcha.
After listening to you, I'm like, oh, I should have done.
Is TCCSA still kind of in their own environment? Do they use Outlook or?
Well, that's what mainly we still use at school. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, now yeah.
Yeah, but I would definitely go that Google Photos route if you're just cool with posting the link to that or that little preview box.
Yeah.
That's always nice because so
just make a tab at the top is what you would say.
Yeah, and you're the only person that can edit it. All that they'll be able, when they click that link, they'll just be able to look. They can click on things, but they can't do anything else.
Like it. Okay, thank you. And Michelle, you're gonna post this video for me to watch to do this again.
Yeah, Cam will share the link, and I will be happy to forward it out.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Just to make life easy, I think what I'll do, since there's no kids on this album or anything, or on this video or anything like that, is I will instead of just sharing the link through, I'll upload this to my YouTube channel. And then I'll give you the link, Michelle, so that you can just throw that link out there. And that'll be like the easiest way to do it.
Awesome.
And it'll probably work a little better than trying to run it out of my Drive, too. So,
Tammy, did you have any questions?
No, excuse me. No, I'm probably going to use the one you can click on the picture too, because I'm going to use this for my art show this year. And I want to have the name and the grade level. I want a name tag.
Yeah. That was one of our big things that we talked about, where we wanted to. Do we want to do name? No, not right now. Not in this. You might have noticed on a few of those, some of the ones that we put in Governor's Show, or the ones that got into Governor's Show for regional or state. I actually put a little name tag on that, but I did that in Photoshop. So, So that would be a little workaround there too. I mean, there's many different ways you could do that.
Without being techie, you could just do a printed tag with the first name and last initial and then grade level, and then you wouldn't have to do all the typing and all the extra additions, right? I mean, you could just photograph the picture with a name tag in the corner.
Post-its work great for that.
Mine are already done. I was all ready for an art show. Mine are already on. I have mine already all done. They're ready. The tags are all on them because the day that we canceled school, we were having our art show that night. So I'm ready to go.
Well, that's good. That's heartbreaking though, but that's good. Yeah, we looked at it and we went, okay, this thing's supposed to, at the time it was supposed to go up until spring break. So we go, okay, it'll be a rush, but we can do it. And then they go, oh, it's going to go to May 1st. And we went, well, May 1st was going to be the first day of our art show. It's not happening. So yeah, it's cool. Hey, it is what it is. You can either cry about it or you can roll with it. So we're trying to roll with it.
Well, when will it be done? I would love to see the final product.
I'm still waiting on elementary music and possibly drama. And I've got a couple art teachers that want to populate it a few more. I mean, technically speaking, it's live right now. I just haven't given the link to my tech coordinator. He's going to put it up on the big site and all that. And I've got a few other ways I wanted to advertise for it. So once it goes, we're thinking right now, May 1st, if I can bump it before that, you'll be the first to know. So I will send that link to you once we get it uploaded. That would be
fantastic. Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Great.
Well, I just appreciate everybody's time today. Thanks for sharing and jumping in. And Cameron, thank you for your expertise. It was really nice of you to share with us and to help us all learn something new. So
you're welcome.
Very
and
much
if you guys have any questions along the way or you get lost on something, I'll in the YouTube video, I'll include my email address so that you can contact me with questions.
That would be awesome. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.